In this episode of Vegetable Gardening, we're going to have a look at some different kinds of techniques. We're going to look at the pros and cons and decide whether you should be using these techniques. What about intercropping, crop rotation, succession planting, and companion planting? These can all be useful techniques when applied in the right situation, and we're going to have a look at all of that.
Now we have a couple gardening techniques. Succession planting is one of them. And what this means is that you grow one crop and then you follow it with another crop in the same spot. You get double duty out of that piece of soil. Now this works really great in warmer climates because you have a long summer. So you can do a whole crop, follow it with something else. It also works in colder climates to some extent. Peas are cool growers. So I plant some peas really early, put them in the ground, and they grow up this trellis system. These are vines, and they'll grow about 6 to 8 feet before they're finished for the summer. But they're cool growers. You plant them early, they grow when it's cool, and by midsummer, they pretty much dissolve away. They cannot take the heat. So they're growing up this trellis. And then on the other side, I will plant beans. But beans are a warm crop, so you can't grow the beans until the soil is good and warm. We're way past the last frost day. We want actually warm soil here. So I will probably plant the beans around this time when the picture was taken, or maybe even a couple weeks later. By the time I'm harvesting peas on this side of the fence, the beans are just starting to grow on the other side. When the peas are finished and don't need the soil anymore, the beans are starting to flower and are starting to produce. And so I'm using the same row of soil for both peas and beans. And so that's the way we have to do our succession planting here. Lettuce and radishes grow very quick, both cool growers. You can plant those pretty much anywhere in the garden you want, knowing that the space will be empty by the time your warm growing crops are there. So you can plant them around where you're going to put your tomatoes. Just leave a space in the middle for your tomatoes. You'll harvest your lettuce and your radishes, and those plants will be completely done long before you'll ever see a tomato. Another technique is called intercropping. This is where you take several crops and plant them together in the same spot. And this works really well for home gardeners. For most of us, we don't need huge amounts of plants, but we like to have lots of variety. So you put a little lettuce and a little strawberry, you have a tomato growing beside that, you throw a few carrots in beside that, and they all kind of grow jumbled together. And this is intercropping. Some of these things will be done early, so you pull those out. Some will stay a little longer. You eat those later in the year, but you mix up all of your plants. There's another technique that's very popular, and this is called companion planting. So the picture here shows some cabbages and some calendula, the pot marigold. Most people, when they do companion planting or talk about it, they're talking about the regular marigolds, and they plant those around their garden. And the idea is this: these marigolds are very fragrant, and insects come along, and either they hate the fragrance and leave, or they like the fragrance and spend their time on the marigolds. But in either case, they leave your cabbages alone. Right? Companion planting. You plant two things together. Usually it's a vegetable with a flower, and somehow you end up with less pests and diseases. Well, as it turns out, most companion planting suggestions don't work. There's whole books on companion planting, and 99.9% of the examples in there do not work. Let me give you one classic one, and that is for root nematodes. So this is a tiny little worm that you can barely see. It attacks things like carrots and beets and anything with a root system. And lots of people will tell you to plant marigolds beside your carrots, and then you won't get nematodes. Well, it just doesn't work. In fact, when they studied this, what they found was you had to grow the marigolds for a whole season and follow it immediately in the same season with your carrots. And then it does work to some extent. So if you're gardening in Florida where you have a really long season, that works. But if you're in a cold zone, there's no way you're going to do two crops one after the other like that. So for most of us, it just simply doesn't work. There are a few examples where companion planting works. Most of them don't. And in fact, what you find is if you put marigolds around your garden, they actually attract trips, which is a little insect, and then you get trips going on to your cabbage, and you actually have a pest problem that you wouldn't have if you didn't grow the marigolds. So be very careful with what you're reading online. Here's another one that's really popular: crop rotation. So what crop rotation says is that you grow a crop in a certain spot, and then next year you don't grow it again, you move it to a different spot. And then the third year, another different spot. And some people do a 3-year rotation where they're rotating their crops around. Other people do a 4-year or even up to a 7-year rotation. Some people have rules like you never grow a root crop after a root crop. There's a bunch of different rules. Nobody seems to agree on what is the right crop rotation. Again, you can go nuts planning your garden like this and where you're going to move it. I recently did a review of this, and I've written about it in my blog, gardenmyths.com. And I looked at, does crop rotation really work for the home gardener? Well, in farming, they do use crop rotation, and it does make some sense there. But when we look at the way it's done in farming, they have 100 acres of tomatoes. And maybe next year, they'll grow those tomatoes in a farm that's 5-10 miles away on a different 100 acres. In our garden, people are moving tomatoes 10 feet from where they were last year. That makes no sense because most insects travel much farther than that. The cabbage looper, which is a little caterpillar that is a real pest on cabbages, it flies to Mexico every winter along with the monarchs. It has pretty much the same flight path as the monarchs. So it goes to Mexico for the winter, flies all the way back up north for the summer. So do you think moving your plants 10 feet over is going to make a difference? No. And in fact, crop rotation in a small backyard really doesn't work. There's almost no example where it does work. Farming is different. And if you're doing a type area where you've got an acre or two, even there it might make some sense. But in our typical backyard gardens, it doesn't. It's complicated. Just forget about it. I grow my tomatoes in the same spot every year, have been for 15 years. My peas go in the same spot. My beans go in the same spot. My garlic goes in the same spot. And they work just fine. So ignore crop rotation. You got to make gardening easy. And there's a lot of information online that wants you to think that it has to be a really complicated process. It doesn't. One last slide, and that's called gambling. Gambling isn't a technique that's recognized, but it is something we all do in cold climates. So spring is coming, and if you follow my procedures, you wait for the last frost date, and you plant after that, and so on. But you know what? It's fun to do a little gambling. So every year I always take some of my plants and some of my seeds and I plant them really early. Now I keep an eye on the weather, and depending on the year I'll plant it at different times. But if I plant my peas, I have 3 rows of peas. One goes in really early. And if we get a really heavy frost and it kills them all, well, so what? I lost $2 of peas, because they're just seeds. And then I plant the other 2 rows later on when I know the weather's warm enough. So take a chance, plant some things really early. What it'll do is give you a really early crop, and that just means you're going to be eating sooner in your garden.
To see the next video in this series, click in the top right-hand corner. That will take you to a playlist that contains all the videos in this series.